Welcome to Topic Talks, where we talk about the topics you care about and leave out the ones you don't.
We talk about what most news sources don't: media, movies, and the multiverse.
We even invite guests to come talk topics with us.
Come join in on the fun.
Let's get started. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the giant conversation of this Topic Talks. I'm your host, Aaron Klingesmith, and today we've only got one person with us. It's Matthew, again. Which,
Heyo.
If I'm stuck with one person, I guess it should be Matthew. Matthew or Lucas. Those are the two that I'd rather be stuck with.
I'm pretty sure I'm worth about 10 people, so I think we should be set for today.
You are worth about 10 people. At least I think so. But seriously, where is everyone?
I have no idea.
I
They all
don't...
bailed on us.
Well, and Mark was like, he was kind of a slacker last week, and this week they're both slacking. I don't know. I don't understand it. Anyway, welcome to the giant conversation of this Topic Talks. I'm your host, Aaron Klingesmith, and today we've got a great show planned. At least I think it's a great show. We've got a lot of topics to cover. But first, how was your weekend, Matthew?
I had an okay weekend. So
You had an okay
right.
weekend?
Yeah. So I started watching. Let's see. What did I watch? I saw latest episode of Game of Thrones.
Okay.
A+. I loved it. Rick and Morty season 3 premiered last night. I was excited about that.
Okay.
And I don't know if you heard about it, but I started watching This Is Us, which premiered last year.
I have no
but
clue what that's about.
I'm finally on board with it. I definitely recommend it. You should check it out. So.
Well, good for you.
Yeah.
I worked and I binged on I don't know if you know, but I finished the Justice League the animated series a little while back, and I was a little skeptical about starting on Unlimited. I started like a little bit after, and I'm like, I don't know how I feel about this. So I stopped watching it for a while. Well, I shouldn't have, because I binged on it last night, finished season 1, and surprise, Netflix is taking it off Netflix.
Yeah.
Today. Or tomorrow. I have to have it done by tonight. So yay me! Guess what I'm gonna be doing after the show. But we'll get to that later in the show. We are gonna talk about what Netflix is tragically taking off and what crap they're piling on.
Yeah. We'll talk about that. I think there are a couple good things. Maybe. We'll
somewhere. Maybe it's at the bottom of the list.
Yeah.
I don't think I went all the way down. So our first topic for today is one that I saw. And it made me go, wait, what? Why? And I read the story, and I'm like, oh, this is cool. And I'm going to warn you, it may be people reading into something too much.
Okay.
You know how that happens just a little bit? Like,
Yes.
people read into a gesture that something happens with an animal, and they're like, oh, it's doing this.
We've all been there.
Right. So what the story's about is it's a man rescues an octopus. And then something happened, and I'm gonna get a little bit more into that. So in the ocean is full of mysterious creatures and interesting interactions, and it's full of mysteries. And sometimes things like this happen, where a creature of the sea or the ocean gets stuck on the shore and they can't get off. I mean, it happens with whales. It happens with dolphins, turtles. Anything fish, even sometimes. Well, this time it was an octopus, and then there was a man that was walking by. He was walking by, and he noticed that there was an octopus on the ground, and it looked like it was clinging to life. It wasn't very, just didn't look that alive. So he took a cup, and he kind of scooped it up, and he put it in the water. And there is a video about this. If you go in the description below. And you read down a little bit, there'll be a link. It should be the first one in the series of links. And anyway, so he used a cup and he put it in the water. And if you watch this video, the octopus starts to kind of really regain color. And he starts to move around and gain functions to all of his tentacles and everything. And after a few minutes of this, this is when it gets weird, or maybe it's not weird. Maybe it's just people are reading into some things. But apparently the octopus gave his foot a hug.
Oh.
So he put
Well,
what he did is the octopus was in the water, and like I said, you can drastically see the color change.
yes.
I don't know if it's the sand going off or what, but it was like pure white when he put it in the water, and it kind of regained a little bit of like a brownish color. But after a few minutes of that, it literally, because the guy took a couple steps back, the octopus came floating towards him and put his tentacle around his foot and stayed there for a few minutes and then swam off into the ocean.
Aw.
So everybody's saying that it gave him a hug. I could see that. It seemed like a hug. It was like a thank you for saving my life. And then he's like, okay, I'm leaving now. Goodbye.
I actually, octopus is like, or octopi. What is it?
Octopi.
Octopi?
I'm pretty
Okay.
sure.
They
That's
actually,
one of those weird English things that I don't. I know English.
they are both fascinating and incredibly frightening to me at the same time. Like, they're incredibly intelligent, which I think is the coolest thing in the world. You know, I'm pretty sure, like, I've seen videos where essentially they're trying to see, whether or not an octopus can use tools, basic tools. And then there are like weird ones where you hear, but then there are also like, those weird ones where you hear like stories of, the octopus climbs out of its cage at night and, eats other fish in the other tanks or something, like, and then crawls back because they recognize like the patterns of the guards walking by. Like, that's weird. That's a little much for me. I can't deal with that, so.
Okay. Well, to answer your question a few minutes ago, and this is according to Google, so we can quote this: the usage of the standard English plural of octopus is octopuses. However, the word octopus comes from Greek, and the Greek plural is plural from octopods. Modern usage is octopodes. Is frequent. Let's see. The plural form is octopi, formed according to the rules of Latin plurals. So octopi would probably be the correct plural term.
All right. But then we just say octopuses anyway, so,
Right.
what's it even matter? That's actually really fascinating if you look up, for any of you who don't know about linguistics, that like blew my mind. Like, growing up in elementary, this is the proper grammatical structure of your sentences, of,
Right.
How to form your words and your different tenses. And then essentially I went to college, paid lots of money, took this fancy class, and they told me it doesn't matter what you speak. They said the way that you speak, the rules that you are taught in elementary is, I think, prescribed grammar is what they call it. And yeah, that's essentially setting up your rules. Whereas the linguist is more interested in the fact that no matter what you speak, you end up forming your own rules, almost. Like,
So
somehow you don't break your own rules that you create.
So let me understand this. And I feel like I've been saying this for years. We learn all this stuff in school. We graduate. We get to college, and it's completely different.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much college just says, everything you learned is BS. So.
Everything you learned is wrong. We're going to teach you the right way.
A little bit of that.
And take the same amount of time to do it.
Yep.
And then you get into the real world, and they're like, no. They're both wrong. This is how we want you to do it.
I think that's arrogance. I think that's your boss being arrogant in the real world. I don't think that's them being right all the time.
I've been told that if you get trained in school for a job, but then when you get to that job, each individual company trains you to how they want you to do that job.
That is the one thing that I have learned in college, yes, because
so
all my teachers will, demand different things, different expectations, and you need to adjust to each one individually.
Right.
Whereas
because this one may not care if you take your online quizzes.
Exactly.
And then this one, your grade depends on whether you take those online quizzes.
Yeah.
Or this one, you completely rely on online grading. They'll grade everything and put them online. Or this one will, you'll just appear your midterm grade, and you'll be like, how did I get that? And half your grades won't be there.
Or more what I've seen where it's like, you know what, I failed all my tests, but the professor thought, wow, he really grew and learned a lot. I'll give him an A. So, you always pray you get that professor, but
Right. So, anyway, um, so this isn't really a big story, but it was, like I said, there's a YouTube video in the link. It's the first link in our description. I feel like sometimes people read in too much to animals and their actions, but then I feel like there's a part of me that's going, no, it gave him a hug. It's kind of like that's the same part of me that when my dog gives me a look, I know exactly what that look means.
mm-hmm.
Like I will tell him to do something, and he will sit down and look at me and tilt his head and go, no. And I'll literally tell him, I'll be like, don't give me attitude.
Mm-hmm.
And he'll turn his head more and go, too bad.
I think the thing with, I mean, yeah, we definitely project what we think animals are doing or how they're feeling or what they're trying to say, whatever. But yeah, ultimately, like, animal behavioral patterns, like, they don't add up to anything we do most of the time. So, like, it's all just garbage. We're just making it up.
But we love it.
Yeah. We're arrogant. We're proud. We're
Yeah.
proud.
That's okay.
Not to say that animals aren't very smart, though. Like, some of them are, like, freaking very intelligent animals. Not
Charlie.
the way we are, but, they figure stuff out, so.
Charlie is very intelligent, let me
Yep.
tell you what. He picks up on things quick.
That's like my dog. She's very intelligent. She knows that if she, if I crack the door open to go outside, if she weasels her way out and then refuses to come in, then I end up caving and giving her a treat to come back in the house. So
That's what I do. Charlie plays this game every night, and it's just become it became a routine to where I could get him into the house in a timely fashion, get him into his kennel, and all was good with the world. My girlfriend goes, "No, you're using too many treats." I said, "What?" I use because he comes to the door,
mm-hmm.
and so what I'll do, or sometimes we have a hard time getting him to the door. So I'll throw one just right outside the door, and then I walk to the kitchen. And for those of you that don't know, I have a sliding glass door and an add-on to my house, which is like we call it the media room. It's got all of my video games and things like that, and that's where we spend most of our time. There's a sliding glass door on the side. Then if you walk straight over, you can see the kitchen/dining room from there. So I walk up the step to this kitchen/dining room where I can still see him. I turn around and he walks up to the door. Then I throw one in between him and I, and that entices him to come inside. Then I throw one towards the gate to the bedroom, and he'll run over and get the treat immediately. Then that gives me time to walk over to the door, close it, and then walk back. And then from there, I open up the gate, and he knows that if he goes straight to his kennel and sits down halfway in,
Mm-hmm.
so I can take his collar off, like his electric fence collar, he gets another treat, and then he goes to bed. Sounds fair, right? So it's what, 1, 2, 3, 4 treats.
Yeah, that might be much, but at
So-
the same
so-
time, like,
sometimes 3.
you've got a big dog. Like, Charlie's a
Well, and they're not even really like big treats.
Big
They're like little
dog.
tiny that we call them chicken balls.
Oh, like the
the-
little training treats. Yeah.
Well, they're bigger than training treats. I mean, for Charlie, they're training treats. But they're like the size of a quarter,
mm-hmm.
but they're round, and they're like a sphere. So it's not that much, and we get them in this giant tub. So I'm like, you know what? If it gets him in the door, and gets him to his kennel, without any problems, I'm good. And then there's some nights where when I turn around and walk in, he'll walk in behind me. And then all I've got to do is just throw the treat, towards the room. He'll run for it, and so then that's 2. Then 1 for his kennel. Or sometimes it's 3 because I won't need to entice him to come to the door. I just throw one in between. But it's one of those things that it's like, I don't know.
I think it's too much math for me right now. So.
Yes, it is. It is way too much math. Anyway, so April thinks I gave him too many treats, but in my eyes, it's functional, it's timely, and he's not a pain in my butt when I do.